It's the winter of 2023, and the Japanese Prefecture Leagues are drawing to their conclusion. Among the hopefuls due to leave their school with the dreams of landing a pro contract with a J-League team are twin brothers, the Yoshis. Rayo and Haruto Yoshii are hot prospect strikers who play for the same school. Their incredible talents have fired their school to the brink of glory at Nationals. The twins prepare for the Nationals final, knowing it will be their one and only chance to impress every football scout in the nation. The Nationals final, though, would bring the twins very differing luck. Haruto would go on to be the hero of the day as he scores a hat-trick to win the game for the school as he shines on the big stage. In contrast, twin brother Rayo would have a disaster of a match as he missed a lot of opportunities and would end up being substituted during the second half. At the conclusion of the Nationals final, Haruto would have a lot of J-League clubs reach out to him. After some careful consideration, he would choose to sign his first pro contract with Shonan Bellmare. In comparison, after his poor performance in the Nationals final, Rayo would struggle to find an offer. In fact, no J-League team would be forthcoming with an offer, and he would only be approached by a number of J-League 3 teams. After some careful consideration, Rayo thought it was time to sign a pro contract, and he chose to sign with Matsumoto Yamaga. Rayo knows that he's just as talented as his brother Haruto. However, his poor performance in the Nationals final has left him with a lot of work to do, as he's now going to have to fight to prove himself and battle his brother for the title of Japan's greatest ever striker. We rejoin the story in the summer of 2025, and that means that both brothers have now had a whole year at their respective clubs. Rayo knows that he has to put the hard work in to get himself noticed, to bump himself up and out of the J-League 3. He has knuckled down and got on with it. The development is there for all to see, and he has cracked it into Matsumoto Yamaga's first team, playing a total of 18 games and scoring twice. As for Haruto, though, he has struggled since being at Shonan Bellmare. He put some careful consideration into where he wanted to go, but it turns out that playing competitive football in the J-League is a lot harder for a younger player than it is for the ones in the lower leagues. He, at this point in time, as of 2025, has only made 3 first-team appearances in the J-League Cup, and he has played 39 times in uncompetitive football. Both of the brothers are now in position to start building their footballing legacies. This is the story of their careers, to see which of the two will turn out to be Japan's greatest ever striker. Across the first 2 seasons of their pro careers, both brothers would give their all to prove their worth to the teams that put their faith in them. Both twins would put in the maximum time and effort required to receive the opportunities that they craved. Once the goals began to flow, so did their development. After 2 years at Matsumoto, Rayo is now becoming an eye-catching prospect. Through his hard work and his dedication playing for Matsumoto, he's built himself up to a 109 current ability player. He has taken every single opportunity that he has been given. He has now played 55 times for the first team, scoring 14 goals. This has led to him catching the eyes of some of the teams from the J2 League, and he's even feeling the pressure of being scouted by J-League teams. As for his brother Haruto, though, he has now finally cracked into Shonan Bellmare's first team. He would now play 18 times for the first team and actually score 5 times. His development has been quick also, bumping himself up to a 111 current ability player. At this stage, even though the twins are playing in massively different leagues, the gap between them in terms of their abilities isn't that wide at all. Both twins have put in 2 years of dedication and hard work to get to this point. Their reputations are on the rise in Japan. The biggest question is, who will make the biggest sacrifices as they look to secure that title of Japan's greatest ever striker? The first transfer of the story would take place in 2026. FC Machida would complete the signing of Rayo Yoshii from Matsumoto. The young striker arrives for a fee of £275,000 as the J-League 3 striker heads to the Japanese top flight. After 2 years of being a promising player at Matsumoto, Rayo's hard work would finally pay off as FC Machida come knocking and they would pay £275,000 to take the striker to the J-League. He would finally have his chance to match his brother in the Japanese top flight. He has now worked his way up to a 132 current ability player, and in the current season has started 18 times and scored 9 goals in the J-League. He's also playing every week for the first team. Overall, he has 32 appearances and 14 goals at this stage. As for his brother Haruto, he has now finally cracked Shonan's first team as well. He has played 7 times in the Champions League. He's played in the J-League and has also played in the Japanese Cup. The other thing that Haruto can say that Rayo doesn't have is 1 Japanese cap to his name. He would finally break into the Japanese national team in this current season. Overall, he now has 45 first team appearances with 15 goals. But those first team appearances are coming in continental competitions. Both brothers have made it to the top of Japanese football, even if they had to take very different paths to get there. However, what would happen next would change the course of the story forever. After just 1 season at FC Machida, Rayo Yoshii would be packing his bags for Europe. FC Machida would cash in on the striker, sending him to the Netherlands for £900,000. Rayo would experience playing football outside of Japan for the first time. With Rayo's transfer to Feyenoord now finalised, it looked like he would finally have the upper hand on his brother. However, just a couple of weeks later, Haruto's club Shonan Bellmare would receive an offer they could not refuse. In the shock move of the 2027 winter window, Shonan would agree the sale of Haruto to Manchester City for £7.75 million. It turns out that both brothers were Europe bound, albeit in very different locations. After completing his move in January of 2028, Rayo would have a good start to life in the Netherlands. He would pretty much go straight into Feyenoord's first team straight away, and across his first season, he would end up making 7 appearances and scoring 5 goals. He would also represent Japan in the FIFA World Cup qualification. He would now have 7 caps and 3 goals for the Japanese national team. He has built himself up to be a 144 current ability player. On the other hand, over in England, Haruto would find it difficult to crack Manchester City's first team. He would be limited to just starts in the domestic cups, playing 3 times in the FA Cup and 3 times in the Carabao Cup. He would feature 14 times as a substitute for Manchester City. In his 14 appearances, he would only score 2 goals in the Premier League. He would go on to score 9 overall in all competitions. He too has continued to play for the Japanese national team. He now has 6 goals in his 6 appearances, and at this point he's behind his brother with a current ability of 137. Is that lack of first team football at Manchester City and truly breaking into the first team holding him back? Both of the twins have now started to receive international recognition. We have one brother playing in the Netherlands for Feyenoord, the other brother playing in England for Manchester City. On an international stage, they have now started to link up for their national team as they are both scoring goals for Japan, and recently Haruto would go on and help the Japanese under-23s win the Asian Games. Which of the brothers is going to take the next step to make it as a truly global football star? Over the next 2 years of their careers, both brothers would develop at an incredible rate. Each of them would step up to help their team achieve success, and they would score important goals for both club and country. In Holland, Rayo would score in the 2028 Dutch Cup final to earn himself a first winners medal as Feyenoord would lift the cup. Over in England, Haruto would play a big role as he scored goals to help Manchester City to both domestic cups and the Community Shield, adding 3 medals to his haul. Both of the twins are now receiving global attention. Not only are they winning individual trophies for their teams, they would combine for a total of 15 goals for Japan. In the summer of 2029, everything would change once again. In the summer of 2029, Arsenal would splash the cash as they signed Rayo Yoshii for £45.5 million. The Premier League is now the home of both Yoshii twins. Rayo would have an immediate impact at Arsenal as he settled into life in London with ease. In the 29-30 campaign, he would play a total of 49 times, scoring 24 goals, 10 of which would come in the Champions League and 12 in the Premier League. At this point of his career, at the age of 22, he has built himself up to a current ability player of 175. Arsenal value him at £148 million, and that means the money they paid for him is an absolute bargain. At this point, he has now played 18 times for his country and scored 13 goals. In the 29-30 season, he would go on to fire Arsenal to FA Cup glory. Over in Manchester, Haruto is finding it hard to become a first-team regular at Manchester City. Across the 29-30 campaign, he would have more substitute appearances than first-team starts, as he would start 20 times, but be a substitute 30 times. Across those games, though, he would score 15 goals, and he would start 8 times in the Premier League and score 9 goals, and score 3 from 3 starts in the Champions League. At this point of his career, at the age of 22, he's lacking behind his brother in terms of current ability. This might be a bit strange considering that Rayo had the poor game initially, dropped to a lower league, and has had to work a lot harder to get to where he is. However, that doesn't really seem to be holding Haruto back, as during the 29-30 season, he would taste his first proper success. Manchester City would go on and lift the Premier League. The twins are now not only going to be in competition for the biggest prizes in English football, but also European football too. Which of the two brothers will have the driving force to take their teams to the next level in the next phase of their careers? With both brothers now in the same league, their rivalry would really begin to intensify. The Yoshii twins were finally showing the world exactly who they were. Over the next 4 seasons, both would score important goals for club and country. Rayo would become an Asian Nations Cup MVP and winner, whilst at club level he would become a 3-time Champions League winner with Arsenal. Over at Manchester City, Haruto was collecting medals too. He would fire City to 3 Premier League titles, 3 FA Cups, a League Cup, and the Champions League. On a personal level, he also won the Champions League Golden Boot twice. On top of his club success, he too would help Japan become Asian Nation Cup winners. At the end of the 33-34 season, Rayo Yoshii would finally become a 200 current ability player. All the hard work and dedication he put in early on after failing in the Nationals final is now coming to the fore, as he is considered one of the greatest strikers in the world. As of the end of this season, he would play 47 games and score 29 goals, and his record for Arsenal is 154 appearances, 73 goals, and he has scored 115 goals across his career. He has now played 55 times for Japan and scored 53 goals for them too. On the other side of it, Haruto is still at Manchester City, and he has only become a 192 current ability player. Now, he has worked equally as hard to get to Manchester City, but those years sat on the bench have obviously harmed him. It means that he hasn't developed at the rate that Rayo had when Rayo was exposed to first-team football earlier on in his career. The numbers, though, show exactly where the difference is. So, for Manchester City, Haruto has played 171 games and scored 65 goals. Across his career, he has only scored 83 in 224. He has played 52 times for Japan and scored 45 goals, but if he wants to go on and become the greatest striker in Japanese football history, he certainly has to play more games. He has to start scoring goals at a greater rate than Rayo. The brothers are now 26 years old and are about to hit their footballing peak. Can Rayo drag Arsenal to the heights of Manchester City? Can Manchester City get Haruto to the heights of Rayo? It's all going to be interesting as we move towards the end of their careers. The next 5 years would cement both players' legacies. They would both remain at their current clubs and continue their sibling rivalry. Goal for goal, the two of them were etching their names into the footballing record books. Rayo would once again help Japan to win another Asian Nations Cup by being MVP and Golden Boot winner. In England, during the 36-37 season, he he would fire Arsenal to the Premier League and win the Golden Boot. As for Haruto, he would be very, very busy. He too would help Japan to be Asian nations champions, but his Manchester City trophy collection just keeps on growing. He adds another 3 Premier League winners' medals, 3 more Champions League medals, 3 more FA Cup winners' medals, alongside 3 Champions League Golden Boots, 2 Premier League Golden Boots, and he would be Champions League Player of the Season in 2038, and in that year he was also voted World Player of the Year and the best of 2038. At this stage, it is clear that Haruto's achievements with Manchester City are very, very impressive. Although, on a personal level, he's collecting all of these medals, playing for Manchester City has obviously helped his career in the long run. Rayo, on the other hand, is winning medals having gained a 200 current ability all of his own doing. He's the one firing and leading Arsenal to all of these trophies. At this point, it's probably neck and neck, if not slightly in Haruto's favour. What can Rayo do about that as we head towards the end? There is a long way left to go in this story yet. From now until the end of their careers, both brothers will give their all to take the crown of greatest ever Japanese striker. The goals would continue to flow, and so would the medals and personal accolades. In 2042, Rayo would have his best season to date, as he was voted Champions League Player of the Season, World Player of the Year, the Best Player of the Year, and he would fire Arsenal to another Champions League. Rayo's late surge would coincide with the Manchester City slump, as Haruto would fail to add any medals to his collection. We have now reached 2042, and Rayo is showing no signs of slowing down. At the end of the current season, he would play 47 times, scoring 37 goals. He's a current ability player of 194 at the age of 34. His output for Arsenal would be 248 goals across 405 appearances, and he is now the record appearance holder for Japan with 86 appearances, and he has scored 85 goals, meaning he has nearly scored 1 goal every single time he has played for Japan. Across in Manchester though, Haruto is now showing some signs of slowing down. He has dropped to a current ability player of 186, which might not seem a lot, but he has played 44 games this season, scored 28 goals, which is a great output for a player of his quality. But when he's in a competition with his brother and he seems to be getting better, is this really the wrong time to start dropping away? His Manchester City career, 259 goals and 436 appearances. He has 80 appearances for Japan and 63 goals. Is Rio now going to capitalise on the run-in to the end of their career? Can he overtake Haruto in terms of what he has won? Probably not, but this could get interesting for the last few seasons. Over the next 2 years, the brothers would suffer very different fortunes. One of them was about to experience an end-of-career awakening, and that would be Rayo, who would fire Arsenal to back-to-back Premier League titles and add a Premier League Golden Boot to his collection. Haruto, on the other hand, would experience 2 years without winning anything, and in the summer of 2044, he was allowed to join Al Hilal on a free transfer. In the winter of 2045 would come the news that Haruto Yoshii had decided to retire. He would spend his final season in Al Hilal in Saudi Arabia, where he would score 20 goals from 34 appearances, putting him on career numbers of 328 goals from 586 games. He would collect 23 winners' medals, 37 team trophies. He would build up a phenomenal record of 35 competition wins, with Asian Games Football Tournament winner, Asian Nations Cup, Champions League 5 times, Super Cup with Manchester City twice, FA Cup 5 times, Carabao Cup 6 times, Community Shield winner 6 times, and Premier League we would collect 9 winners' medals between 2030 and 2042. On a personal level, he would be recognised for his own game in terms of being Champions League Golden Boot winner on 5 occasions, Premier League Golden Boot winner on 4 occasions, the best FIFA men's player twice, European Men's Player of the Year twice, Goal 50 runner-up, World Soccer Men's Player of the Year on 3 occasions, Champions League Player of the Season on 3 occasions. He would be the Club World Championship top goal scorer, Asian Footballer of the Year, and Asian Champions League Most Valuable Player. What a career Haruto Yoshii has had. Considering he scored that hat-trick all the way back in the Nationals final, he would go on to achieve his dream of really hitting the top and becoming a top footballer. The only thing for him, though, is what will happen with his brother, who is still playing football. Let's continue the story with Rayo. Rayo would in fact only play one more season until 2046. In that season, though, he would continue his late career bloom, as he would win one final Premier League and an FA Cup. We have finally reached 2046, and Rayo Yoshii has now finally decided it's time to hang up his boots. Such is his love of the game, though, he's decided to continue coaching. But we're going to look at just what he did as a player. When we go into his history and look at some of the stats, he has had some mind-blowing numbers. He would play 660 games. He would score 359 goals in total. He would play between 2024 and 2046. Not bad for a player who was disappointing in the Nationals final and hardly got any pro contract offers. Looking at his biography, he would have 15 competition wins, Asian Nations Cup, FA Community Shield, Emirates FA Cup twice, Toto KNVB Becker, Champions League 4 times, and the Premier League 4 times. Yoshii would be recognised for his talents in terms of being Asian Young Footballer of the Year twice, Dutch Young Player of the Year third place on 2 occasions, J1 Best Young Player runner-up, Champions League Golden Boot runner-up twice, Asian Nations Cup Most Valuable Player on 4 occasions, Asian Nations Cup Golden Boot winner twice, the Best FIFA Men's Player twice, Europe's Men's Player of the Year Award runner-up twice, World Soccer Men's World Player of the Year twice, Premier League Golden Boot on 6 occasions, Goal 50 runner-up twice, and he was named the Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year twice, the PFA Players Player of the Year twice, and Champions League Player of the Season twice. So, just like his brother, he has had an absolutely fantastic career. He's won everything there is to win in England and Europe. The only thing to decide now, who gets the crown of the greatest Japanese striker of all time. After 20 years of blood, sweat and tears, the twins have hung their boots up, and it's finally time to decide who deserves the crown of the Japanese GOAT. Now, there are a few things to consider here. Across the 20 years, Rayo would reach the top of the mountain, getting to a 200 current ability player. That is a feat that Haruto would never be able to match. Despite Haruto playing at Manchester City, he would only ever get to 198. The other thing to consider here is Haruto's impressive medal collection. He would go on to win nearly everything with Manchester City, but is that down to him or down to the team? Would you class Rayo's achievements as more, considering he played for Arsenal, who won less, but he achieved just as much as Haruto? This is a really difficult one, and I think I'm going to be a bit of a chicken on this. I'm going to get you to decide who gets the title of Japanese GOAT. Let me know in the comments section. Is it Rayo, who deserves to be the GOAT because he dragged Arsenal along with him as he reached the top as a 200 current ability player? Or are Haruto's achievements just too much for Rayo to compete with? Does it all go down in glory because he was a Manchester City player and had a collection of medals that was dragged along by Manchester City? I really can't decide. Let me know in the comments section down below. If you've enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I have to say, there is so much work that goes into videos like these. They're an absolute pleasure to film, but if you could just show a little bit of appreciation to the channel, I really, really do appreciate that. Cannot tell you how far that goes for me as a creator and for the other people on the channel, because you get to see more content knowing it's appreciated. For this one though, I'm going to leave it there. A big thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave me your answer in the comments section down below, and I'll see you on another video very soon.